Hello and welcome to Grade 7 Science Introduction to Google Draw. This is Mr. Brocklehurst and I'm here to show you a couple of the ins and outs and basics of the application Google Draw, which is part of the Google Application Suite, and some of the tools that we will use and tinker around with as we try to build our first multi-view drawing. One of the first things that I'll draw your attention to is how to fill out the name section of the multi-view drawing. It's real easy to always go up here and just click text box, open up a text box, create a text box wherever you want to put it, and type in there. Oops, got to spell your name right. And you can fill out your text box or your name section in that way very easily. The next thing I'll draw your attention to is that the rubric is also linked to this, so if you're ever curious how this will be graded, you can always go back, check on the rubric, open it up, and of course if your internet connection is faster than mine, you'll get there sooner, but you'll see exactly the rubric and how your multi-view drawing will be graded. Of course there are 4 categories: clarity, feasibility, originality, and critical thinking. Does your drawing exemplify those different things for a possible total of 30 points. So anytime you have confusion about that, you can check on that rubric and see how you're doing. I'll also show you that I put some tools in here for you to start with. Since it is a hydraulics project, I assume every student will want to have hydraulics in their multi-view drawing. And one of our common tools that you'll find is something called a connector strip, which is a big plastic strip with holes in it that allows us to connect it to different things and create framework for our project. So I left one of those in there as well. If you're not going to use one of those, if you're one of the very few projects that does not use connector strips, you can always delete it later. So you might have already noticed that these things are reusable. You can move them around by clicking on them, moving them around, or drag them to new locations. You can also Control-C, Control-V, and make additional ones. You can resize them if necessary by clicking on the grips on the outside and resizing them. We'll talk about reasons that you might do that in a little bit. But just as you would imagine, these things are highly usable and hopefully save you time in the drawing process and also help your drawing stay neater as well. Okay, the next thing I'll draw your attention to is how do we actually rearrange the objects that are in here. Let's say I have a drawing of something and I want to rearrange it. I don't want it facing that way or at an angle or something like that. It's really easy to change that in Google Draw. One thing you notice is that it creates a box around anything that you've selected. You can resize it or distort it in those ways, but it doesn't really show you an obvious way to change the arrangement of it. What you might notice is that out of the top of that box is this little blue spot, kind of like almost a thumbtack sticking out the top of the selection box there. And if you grab the top of that thumb box or that thumbtack, and you just kind of start spinning, you can rearrange any item that you have there. Sometimes it shows up on the bottom like that, and you can rearrange like so. Okay, so that's one way you can just kind of free rearrange things. And I'll even show you how many degrees out of 360 that you've rotated. Okay. One final thing you can do is you can also come up to Edit. No, that's not it. Rotate, sorry, arrange and rotate. You can flip horizontally, vertically, and then choose 90-degree rotations as well. So that's another way you can rotate. Another thing I'd like to draw your attention to is how do we end up, using only parts of images. Like, for instance, if you've imported an image, like here I have an image of a connector strip, and I only want to use a piece of that. I'm going to use something called the cropping tool. Cropping tool looks like this guy up here, a crop image. There's a couple things that you could do here, but I'm going to just click on that. And what you do is you grab one of these corners or sides or whatever you want to do, just kind of move it in. You'll notice that it basically deletes or eliminates the part of the image that you've slid in from. The rest of it remains. So I haven't shrunken it, I've just cut off part of it. In this last section, I'll just show you a quick sped up video. It's sped up a little bit more than 2 times normal speed of a very quick and easy hydraulics project that I've done in the past. It involves using one hydraulic and a few connector strips and dowels and some string to create a hydraulic vehicle. Basically, I use a lever arm similar to what you built in Ask, and I attach it to some string and I spin a wheel with it so that it drives the rear wheels of a vehicle. It's very easy to replicate in Google Draw using very standard shapes and rotation tools. Here I am cropping one of the connector strips that you can see there. I had to use a standard shape, which is a circle, to make the wheel, and eventually you'll find out our wheels are mostly red in color, so I have to change the color to red. I wasn't exactly sure how I wanted to design it right away, which is why you see me moving it around a little bit here and there, but you're starting to see the beginnings of the vehicle now. Lots of easy copy and paste of the ready-made images. Here I am rotating the hydraulic, putting it in place. And you'll find other things going on too. At some point I needed to draw the hose that connected to hydraulics. I just used the standard pencil tool, or the scribble tool I should say, and that seemed to get the job done. I just changed the color to try to match what I would normally use for water. And then I wanted to draw the string that would eventually be wound around the axle to get it spinning, and I didn't want it to be the same color as water, so I changed it to white. Pretty easy to do, no major advanced techniques here in Google Draw. It's very easy to use. Here I am just kind of putting an arrow using the scribble tool to show that the lever arm actually moves up and down, and that will spin that back wheel in that direction. Okay, that's it for our introduction to Google Draw. I hope you found it helpful. And I hope that you find that the actual application is powerful and easy to use. Good luck and happy planning. Bye-bye.